Yay, it's working. It's always nice when it actually works and goes really well. I'm Nikki Elsing. I am here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Excited to join you all tonight, and it's always fun to get to peek at everybody as we're getting started. Some of you guys have your pictures up, which is kind of cheating. I kind of like to see the real you. Everybody's kind of had a busy Sunday and trying to get back into the swing of things, and it's funny because everybody's at different time zones too. So some of you might even be in bed almost. So tonight we are going to chat a little bit about databasing. And in case you're wondering, it's me instead of Tanya tonight, because some of you got the email that had Tanya on it. That she had another commitment, so I'm just filling in for her. I'll tell you a little bit about myself in case some of you don't know. Like I said, I'm Nikki Elsing. I'm here in Sioux Falls. I've been in Lifevantage, let's see, almost 6 years, almost 6.5, but not quite. And I'm a registered dietitian, nutritionist, and certified wellness coach. And this business was brought to me by Joanne Shear Parkin, who was my boss at the time when we both worked within a cardiovascular specialty hospital here in Sioux Falls. And we also worked with Dr. Mark Gordon, as some of you may know as well. And so I joined them about 6.5 years ago, and it's just been this crazy, crazy ride and amazing journey when I look back and see it. And these Sunday night trainings are so nice because it's an excellent way for you to get people on your team in front of good information, but also it's the information we all need to be looking at in our blueprint. And all of us as distributors have that blueprint for success that we all got. Some of us look at it and some of us not so much. So make sure you look at it if you haven't. And my job tonight is to go through the databasing section. And I don't have a whole ton to say on this, you guys, except I can give you a few ideas of what I've gone through databasing and trying to think of other people. And then we have an amazing guest on towards the end as well, Debbie Kral. She is going to be going through Protandim with us, and she has a huge specialty in horses. So I'll tell you more about her here shortly. So I'm really, really excited to see what she has to share with us. So let's get back to databasing. Let's get back to kind of thinking how things grow in your business. And, at this point, Lifevantage actually has made it so simple for us because of all of this media that we have available and these tools that we have. We have that LV Pro app, which is really, really nice to be able to utilize. If any of you haven't used it, try it. It's very nice. It's super easy to be able to go through those contacts in your phone. And remember, if you're ever feeling like you don't know anyone, because people will say, I don't know anybody. And even if you have those days, look at your phone, look at your contacts, scroll to the end and check and see how many you have, because it's ridiculous how many people that we all have in our cell phones every single day. So all those people are not maybe looking for something, but you never know. And as you sift and sort through them, you may find somebody that's just as crazy and excited about Lifevantage as you are. So definitely utilizing that. But now when we're looking at databasing from just like pen and paper, I'm kind of a pen and paper kind of gal. I still need to get more used to the apps, and every year I have these things that I set for myself and say, okay, I need to get better at the comp plan, or I need to get better at this or this. And one of them that I need to work on is getting better at these apps that we have. And so utilizing that information and actually going through every single person in my phone, because believe it or not, 6 years in, I haven't done that. I've been paper and penciling and writing it down because that's just kind of the way I am. I also have actually it's sitting right here. I have my calendar and my planner, and I just write everything down in there as well, just because that's my preference. So whatever way you find, I also know that as I'm sitting when I go to bed or as I'm sitting somewhere, I always bring some paper with me no matter where I'm at, because every once in a while there'll be a name that just keeps popping up in your head. And I seriously feel that there's a reason why that name keeps coming to your head, and you need to write that down and contact them. And so making sure that you put a little star by them or something to be able to make them a priority. But this blueprint that I'm talking about tonight looks just like this. Can you see it? Lifevantage blueprint. It came in your packet. of your Vantage pack or pack. I guess I can't say Vantage pack, but in your start kit. And it basically goes through and talks about your database list. And it has all kinds of spots. And it has a spot for name, telephone number, and email. Now, there's something I want you to add to that. And whether you like to, this is a little shiny paper. So my preference is to use just a regular piece of paper. I like it because then it won't smear. But what I want you to add to that is make another column and say why you thought of them. Because the thing is that that's your opening line when you're talking to people. There's the reason they came to mind, whether it's money or health-wise, or you really like them, or they've been friends with them forever, or whatever it is the reason. Put that down on there so that you can say, hey, you know what? Hey, Nikki, you know what? I was thinking about you the other day, and I remember that you always had trouble with your knee, or always kind of had an entrepreneurial spirit, or whatever it is, because that's kind of your door to open up the conversation. So add that to your list. And then, has anybody, if you haven't looked at this memory jogger, this thing is crazy, you guys. And it gives you such a huge amount of people. And the thing that you need to keep in mind is every 6 months, you should be looking through this memory jogger, because things change. All these people come into your life, like think about right now. It's the end of July. School will be starting here shortly for most people. And whether you have grandchildren or children, or you live by a school, or there's people that that you have coffee with all the time that have grandchildren and whatever, or friends and family, or have kids there, you have more people that you run across. Or maybe you're a teacher or a music class, or I don't know, there's all these extra people that you will run into that you aren't usually running into. And then 6 months from now, it's going to be the new year, and there'll be other people that you've talked to. And so it's always a good idea to pull that back out. But if you look at this is just one side of it, you guys. And so being able to sit there and look at it and go, oh, okay, friends from a vacation, who sells me my insurance, business cards I've saved. Right behind me, I have a pile, and I have all these business cards, and they're just kind of all snuck together, and I need to, go through and I just collect them. And that's what I use them for, is contacting people and having another conversation with them for in the future. People at the bank, people that need work, people that, are in the PTA or have children in college, or maybe, you went to a bunch of graduations this last little bit here a few months ago, and those people have an empty nest now, and maybe they're interested in having some more income or something else to do, or working on your cars, travel agents, your mailman. I know a lot of people like to turn those around when people come to the door and turn around and say, hey, well, I'll listen, but you know what? You're really good at your job. I think I need to tell you about what I'm doing, and kind of turning it around on them so that they have another, can add that conversation. One of them that I was looking at, because I was looking over it again today, and one of them that really stuck out to me, and the reason why I think is because I think we're all worried when people say, I've been in network marketing, but it just didn't work for me. And that kind of freaks us all out, right? And one of the third ones on the list, the memory jogger, was something that didn't get what they wanted in network marketing. And that just totally blew my mind, because in the past, I never had an answer for people that would say, well, is this a network marketing thing or a pyramid thing or whatever? And now I have an answer, because all I do is say, oh, yeah, it is. What do you know about it? And then I don't say anything else. And then to think that it's number 3 on this list in the memory jogger is kind of cool. So instead of being afraid of these people, really looking to be able to look to them as people that kind of get the industry, have high hopes, but just never got where they wanted to go with network marketing companies. So either way, whether you want to use the LV Pro app, you want to use a piece of paper, maybe you want to do both of them, I would encourage you to use the technology and try it, because it might be exactly what you're looking for. And the ability to share information and share articles and videos and all of that stuff is amazing. And they worked really, really hard on it. Or maybe you want to use both of them. It's completely up to you. But the biggest thing is, don't sit there and say, oh, I don't know anyone. Because you know a ton of people. And every single person that's placed in your path on the way through life is an option. They're there and is an option. And for some reason you can think of to be able to talk to them. Will they like exactly what you're telling them? Maybe not. But that's okay, right? That's the price of being cutting edge and knowing that we've got an amazing thing. We're willing to put ourselves out there and just keep going. So make sure you do that. But I also want to let you know, as you're doing your database and following and contacting these people, please, please have a good plan for a follow-up. Because I think that's one of the places that we kind of fall apart in. Some of us are really good at it and some of us are not very good at it. And I kind of go back and forth a little bit. But make sure that you have a plan in place for how you are going to follow up with them. One of my favorites that I've said before is I just take a sheet of paper and I write on who I'm planning to talk to this month. And then I leave a space for those that I don't plan to talk to. And oftentimes the ones that I leave a little space after so I can say when I've talked to them, when I've sent information, and it's just my easiest way for me to look from month to month to see what things have happened and what's progressed. But whatever works for you, just know that when you have your database list and you're looking at following and contacting these people, that you need to have a follow-up in place. So that's all I have on databasing. You know, really just writing it down and hammering it out and getting to it. And remembering, you don't have to sign up the world to be successful in Lifevantage. You just need to find a few of us crazy ones that are super excited to go for it and really want to see what we can do, right? And that's who you're looking for. So make sure you keep that in mind. Sometimes it gets scary, and don't let it be scary, because the thing is that you can be as successful as you want, and it's just putting yourself out there that's the most important part. So let's get on to our next guest. Like I said, we have Debbie Kral on tonight. I'm super excited. And give me 2 seconds because I hardly know Debbie. We've been texting a little bit today, and I've been getting to know her. And I asked her to send me a little bit of information about her. And as I was reading it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this sounds so exciting, because I know nothing about what she's going to be talking about. And that just makes me really happy, because it's always super fun to be able to learn from people and see where they what their experience has been and where they are at with it. So let's look at the fact of pet tandem. That's what we're going to be talking about tonight. And pet tandem, as you all know, used to be Canine Health. Love the change to the new name. But Debbie has been in Lifevantage for 5 years. And I'm going to read this because I don't want to mess anything up. But she's been in Lifevantage for 5 years as an equine physical therapist. So she's working with horses as a physical therapist for over 39 years. Isn't that crazy? That's amazing. And she's been traveling all over Florida, Kentucky, the New York circuit. She's even been able to work with 2 of the Olympic teams. She worked on those both in the United States and Canada. And the last 25 years, she's been working with top racehorses and hunter jumpers on the East Coast. She currently lives in Saratoga Springs, New York, until she goes to Elite in Florida, and then she's staying there for the winter, and I don't blame her. We have yucky winters here too, so I love the idea of heading to Florida and hanging out there instead. And one of the greatest things that's super fun is all the things she's done for the horses, but she's been able to retire after being in Lifevantage for 3 years, and that's something that is an amazing, amazing thing to be able to say. And the fact that she can do what she wants with it now, but no pressure. So she can, you know, give everybody her talents without expecting or needing anything back, which is really nice. And so Debbie, I'm so excited. I unmuted you. So let's see if we can hear you. Go ahead and let me see here.
All right, I'm here.
I gotcha. Perfect. Let me mute myself here once.
All right. All right. Oh, you know, I've got my phone on. Just a minute. Let me see if I can get rid of one thing.
Yep, we're getting a little feedback from the one.
Trying to leave. All right. Is that good?
Perfect. Now I got to find you back here.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
You can hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you inviting me on the call, and nice introduction. And I really appreciate Stu for putting these calls together, because I think they're really important. I just say that every single day I get more excited about being involved with Lifevantage. I have never done anything like this before. I've been in the horse world all my life. And as of this week, it is exactly 5 years in this business. And a total stranger changed my life. We were in Saratoga. He was visiting home, and I had door signs on my truck that said equine therapist. He hadn't been in the business very long, and he walked over with his wife, and they wanted to show me something. And I have the big eyeball roll because I have a lot of people that ask me to sell things because of the clientele that I'm in front of. And I always look at everything, and there's just not any science there. And so I really have never picked up a product ever. And so I looked at it, and immediately I could see, the science that was there. I got very excited, and I was also still a very big skeptic. I didn't know anything about multi-level marketing. It scared me because I was supposed to know that you're not supposed to do it. It's the only thing you know. But this product was, it was just too good. I finally decided I didn't care how it was marketed. I wanted it for horses that I knew. I wanted it for myself. And being in the business that I'm in, I know a lot of people that need this. All the horse people are pretty beat up because we don't have days off. My job was actually for 11 months out of the year, I didn't have a day off. You kind of took all of your days off in December. So when it didn't matter how bad you were hurting, you were still going to go to work as a horse person. So I knew an awful lot of people that needed to know about this. So I was very excited. I got in. The person that showed this to me was Justin Brown. And I had to have the science, so he directed me towards pubmed.gov. And when I looked at it, I just couldn't believe the amount of science that was there. And he didn't know it at the time, but I'd been doing this business for a really long time. It was very demanding physically, along with those no time off. And I had a pretty good income, but you spent a lot of it traveling. And horse people just don't have the word retirement in your vocabulary anywhere. And I saw the money, and I thought, that just can't be true. Why wouldn't I know about something like this? It's because I was too busy to ever look at anything. So I went to my first academy just to go out there and see if the money was real, because 5 years ago we really didn't have an income statement. And I just didn't believe it could be true. And by that time, I was all in when I saw that the science was real. I'd had an opportunity to put a lot of horses on it. I've had people's feedback. And then I realized that network marketing was just an incredible opportunity. So I'm forever thankful for a stranger to walk up to my truck. So don't ever be afraid to talk to somebody, because you probably, you don't know what they're thinking. I realized most of the people that knew me would probably never ask me to take a look at a business, because they already knew I worked 11 months out of the year straight without time off. When could I do this? And why would I want to leave working the top horses in the world? So you don't know what somebody, I never complained about that. I was fortunate. I was happy that I was working on great horses, but I was getting tired. So don't ever be afraid to approach somebody, even the real skeptics, because we've got the science that can back it up for you. So when I got in 5 years ago, there really weren't very many horses. And we talked about Protandim. And I'll talk about that for a while, but I was told it was about horses. So I prepared a lot about the horses. But you can do either the horses or dogs, both. There's tons of science on them. You can go to PubMed, and that's where I started. At that time, like I said, there weren't a lot of studies. So I just picked out some things that horses have that people have, like inflammation, like soft tissue injuries, diabetes, arthritis, all of those things that horses have. So I just was able to look at the studies that we had on people and connect the dots. I mean, they're mammals. As a therapist, I know they feel the same way. I know when you take inflammation away, your pain level goes down. So I was able to I was excited, and I wasn't afraid to try it on these horses. And it was just exactly what I thought. It was just incredible. So right now I want to talk just a second about testimonies, because I got into testimonies big time when I first got involved, because everybody that was in it was. And it's just not something we can do. It's just learning how to use different words. And so I won't ever really talk about Protandim and an illness. I'll educate the people first on what Protandim does. It reduces oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days. That's a proven study. It really doesn't get any better than that. A testimony is just what somebody says. And most of us are really truthful about what we're saying, but sometimes it sounds like a sales pitch, because it can be really crazy, almost hard to believe. So I try and always bring people back to the science, teach them what Protandim does, and then start talking about oxidative stress. So now I can talk about oxidative stress and inflammation with horses. I looked up some of the, on PubMed, like I said, I looked up the inflammation, joint pain, soft tissue injuries, diabetes, and arthritis, because that's what we all kind of have in common. And at that time, 5 years ago, there were thousands of studies done on people with just those 5 problems. And notice I don't even say disease. It's a problem. It's an issue. It's just changing a few words. So what's exciting is now, 5 years later, you know, on PubMed, you can go and enter equine oxidative stress. And now there's over 300 studies. And that's very exciting, where you can take a horseman, something, some of them don't want to connect those dots, but now they don't have to. It is over 300 studies. And to list just a few of them, oxidative stress during thoroughbred training, long distance transportation, oxidative stress and laminitis. Oh, I was so excited to see there's 2 of those on there. And there's many of them on stallions, breeding, reproduction, relationships of oxidative stress and skeletal muscle. I just saw today there's one on British Equine Veterinary Association that's on obesity with equine. There's 2 on colic. So eventing horses, there's a number of studies that have been done on them. And then I saw one on oxidative stress that's suffering from inflammation, airways disease, a really big problem, you know, for the racehorses. So there is real science there. Now, I hope you guys go and take a look there. One of the things you're going to see is many of these studies will end with further studies need to be done. We need to investigate more. Well, they are doing that. They are investigating more. We're having more and more studies. And that's pretty exactly what happened with humans. You know, they did some studies, and then they would end up, if you look at some of the old ones, need to have more investigation. Well, they're doing that. So just be excited that it's happening, that you're part of this happening right now. So there's another place you can go, and it's called Google Search. And right now, today, I looked, there's 29,000 studies done on equine oxidative stress on Google Scholar. So that's a real great place to go take a look. I saw some on physical exercise, on muscle damage in racehorses. There are many studies on that one about airway, and a lot on breeding and reproduction with them too. So there's lots of information out there. We just build your belief on science, and you know, your posture will change when you realize you really have something to bring to the table with people, that we're just not talking about we're going to make them feel better, that we've got science proving that what we're doing. And the dogs, you can do this very same thing. Go to PubMed or Google Scholar and put in canine oxidative stress. And there's even more studies on canine than there are on horses. So lots of information out there. There's a huge improvement with the horses. I'm just giving you some of the things that I've seen. Most of us with animals know that your hair and your skin really tells you kind of what's going on the inside. And that was one of the biggest things I see with the horses. Their hair coat changes and their skin condition, it gets much better. And we really know that's a key. When you reduce oxidative stress in horses, that what we're doing is we're seeing a reduction a lot of times in anxiety, which we kind of took a look at that with people. I looked at ADD, ADHD. We're seeing, you know, results with people. And then I started really going after horses that I knew were, had a lot of anxiety, say they were young horses. And we could see them have a lot of calming down going on. And that was very exciting because the young horses, for you guys that, I don't know how many horse people are on, these guys, when they're tiny, when they're little, when they're yearlings and weanlings, they're having to get put in some difficult situations, taken away from their friends, from farms, and their anxiety really goes up along with their oxidative stress. And we've seen some great situations with some of the sale horses. Bonnie and Kim Heath are on my team in Ocala, and they have horses that go to the sales, young horses, weanlings and yearlings, and they've had some great results using the product for that. Because as a young horse, you're overdoing a lot of things. That's where the inflammation, joint pain comes from. Taking them out of stalls, you know, doing repetitive motion. Their feet get sore. You can't train them for that kind of job, to get pulled out of a stall 70, 80 times a day and have somebody look at them. And they've had great success with their recovery. And that's one of the things we can look at in humans for recovery and with horses and dogs in recovery, is that they don't tend to have those sore feet as much. The inflammation seems to stay down. The joint pain doesn't seem to be there like it used to when we weren't giving them this. So it's very exciting that we have products that are helping all ages and all disciplines of the horses, because I call it the people games. Horses really didn't decide to run around in a circle as fast as they could or jump over jumps. They really didn't decide that. We did. They're designed to put their head down and eat grass 80% of the time. So most of the time when we stick them in a stall and we ask them to do something for us, they're going to have to pay some kind of price. So I'm very excited that we have something that we can, use with these horses, because a lot of them, they just get exhausted. Mm-hmm. And we see a lot of, I don't know how you can say it works with exhaustion, but it does. We see that with people. Mm-hmm. But I call it rebalancing the cell. Whenever you can take away cell damage, 40% of it in 30 days, that's huge. And that can allow for repair much faster, whether it is just sore feet or injuries, soft tissue, or horses. And then going in and balancing that cell, it's going to keep your immune system up. I know that a lot of people are using use the product with their horses. We don't see them get as sick, because when you take them out of a real safe environment and you move them into another environment where there's 1,000 horses, somebody's sick. And the chance of them getting sick is there. So keeping their immune system up, I believe, is really, really important, just like we work on ours. Talk to us a little bit about the dose. I started with just one. I wanted to know what one pill was going to do for that great big 1,200-pound animal. And it was incredible, some of the success stories that were given with one pill. I find that a lot of that is with horses that are getting to be a horse. They're getting to get out in the field and relax some and not be in a stall. And most of our professional horses that are stalled, they just don't get out and walk around as much. So we have, I think, a little more arthritis, those sort of situations that creep up with also inflammation. And I find that some of those horses, again, they're not eating grass 80% of the time. So I think they need a little extra. And we're seeing that 2 pills a day, splitting them into AM and PM, is better. And that's because they probably have a higher level of oxidative stress. And by flipping that switch on twice a day, they just get a better benefit that way. One thing I do want to talk about is laminitis. That's the only time that I don't, or I think most of us people don't talk about, 2 will do it. We don't know what'll do it. And for the ones that don't know what laminitis is, it's a very debilitating disease, and it's oftentimes can take their life. And I don't know, I just haven't had enough time to sit around and go, well, let's see what 3 do and let's see what 4 do. I'm sure after enough studies, especially seeing that we've got 2 studies out there right now, that more will be done. So I know Bonnie and Kim Heath had a pretty amazing situation with one of their mares, and we've had some other people with great success. But it is giving them more. It's giving them anywhere from 5 to 9. And it's just because we don't know. And it's just one of those illnesses that we don't have enough time to waste to see what might work. So that's the only one thing that I would say that I would use a much bigger dose on. But 1 for your horses that get to be a horse, and 2 for the ones that are being a professional, having to do a little more work. I think we've seen some great success with that. But stay on PubMed, use the science there. The dogs have been incredible. Lily Amarita is one of my distributors in Ocala, Florida. She's a agility dog trainer, and she's actually using the Axio with the dogs, the red Axio for her dogs when they go to the trial. And so I'm excited we're getting to use a lot of our products on our horses and our dogs. And we've also had people with their squirrels and a whole lot of other things. So it works on all mammals. Just try it and just be excited that we have incredible products, but also realize this opportunity is once in a lifetime. We just don't get offered these things very often. I know I have never been in the right place at the right time. I can promise you, equine physical therapy 39 years ago was hard. No one did it. You banged your head against the wall. We had a custom saddle shop for 25 years. Banged our head on the wall for a long time until it caught on. So when I finally looked at this and it was just a couple of years and it blew up, I'm so super excited to be able to offer this to other people. So just make yourself, decide if you're really going to do this business, then decide what your dreams are. I know one of my dreams that I had to kind of let go because I had no time was when I was young, when I was 14, 15, 16, 17, I worked with therapy horses before there were therapy programs. I worked with handicapped children with horses, and I always wanted to be able to put the 2 together with it's done. Problem is, there's not any money. The situations that are out there, the associations, there's not enough money to keep a lot of it going. So now this has given me an opportunity to be able to give back programs that are already started. And I also have time where my income is coming from Lifevantage now. and I can use some of my time and work on therapy horses and not have to get paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of my dreams that's getting to come true now. And so just think about something you never thought you were going to get to do. Decide if you really want to do it, and then go to work, because it's right now. Don't get started next month, next year. It is right now. So I want to thank everybody for getting on the call, and I appreciate everyone's time, and you guys have a great evening.
Oh my gosh, Debbie, amazing, very good information. I'm like super.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
I can't hear you.
What? Can anybody else hear me? Give me a thumbs up. You guys can hear me? Okay, so just Debbie can't hear me. Maybe you have your, maybe she's muted. Well, Debbie did amazing, you guys. I love that. And thinking about, you know, the whole horse thing. I mean, that, I remember talking a while back to people that were working with, I think it was horses in the Kentucky Derby, and wanting to talk to somebody about it. And it just amazes me so much that we have that as an opportunity to be able to utilize that and to hear her expertise and her knowledge in this area that so many of us have no idea. And I was in my head going, okay, I have this question. Oh, I have this question. And she answered every single one. So thank you, Debbie, so much. And to think that we have a 1,200-pound animal that's benefiting from one Protandim. How cool is that? And even the benefits they see that, and then benefits they see with two. So like she said, you know, remembering the research has been done on all mammals. And so we used to joke about it and say, well, as long as you're not a reptile, then I guess everything's going to work out fine for you with Protandim, and that's absolutely true. So remember, the sky's the limit. I love what she said about not making any claims and keeping it away from a disease condition and the NRF2. Just tell them what NRF2 is, tell them what oxidative stress is, and that we can reduce it, and let them figure out the rest on their own. That way we all stay compliant and everybody's doing good. But thank you, Debbie, so much for joining us on the call tonight. Appreciate your knowledge and appreciate you so much. And appreciate the rest of you guys sharing your Sunday night with us. Hope you have an amazing week. And if you're not running, go run. Get crazy and be ridiculous and go get your dream. Thanks again. Good night.